Take a seat, man.
Okay, ready?
There you go. So how's the movie?
No, leave that in. Leave that in. So, you watched Tag.
I did, yeah. I mean,
Finally.
it's been a while. I mean,
Yeah.
the last time I watched it was when it first came out with friends. I watched it in theaters because it was a big movie marketed when it came out. You know, everyone was talking about it. But especially since y'all have been pushing me to rewatch it, since clearly I forgot a lot because there's so many parts where I was like, dude, I forgot how amazing this movie is. Especially that
It's a good
ending. I
movie.
completely forgot that ending, but we'll come back to that
It's
later.
a fantastic, very underrated movie.
I do like it. Just to give context, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
it's based on a true story, first of all. So everything I'm about to say, it's like you may not believe it. I mean, you all have seen the movie, but
Yeah.
but-
There's like in the credits they show like the actual story behind the movie and everything, like how it was true.
so it's about a group of friends who, from childhood, they've like been so close where they made a pact where they're gonna commit to the same game of tag just for the rest of their life. Where every May of every year, a new quote unquote season, as they say in the movie, of tag starts. Where during the month of May, whoever was it last continues the game, and
Yeah.
until the month of May goes on, the movie literally starts with one of them finding their other friend in a different state as he's about to go in this crazy, like, important interview or meeting with some other person as he's built this Fortune 400 company. And he comes in with a wig as a janitor, and it just kicks off right there. They have the
They start
first
playing
insane
tag, yeah.
tag while they're in the middle of an insane meeting.
The whole movie is basically one big game of tag.
Every year we play tag. You punched me.
Yeah.
It's these grown ass men, like adults that are, some of them are married, some of them have kids, have jobs, some of them are struggling financially, like real adults, like facing life, like genuine grown up problems, right? And they still dedicate 1 month out of every year to just being kids and playing tag. The same way they used to when they were kids. By the way, for context, these guys that the movie is about, they grew up together as kids playing tag.
Yeah.
Same way, their whole childhood they played tag in Washington, where we're from, and so they keep playing tag, and as they grow up, they like kind of find that tag gives them an excuse to stay in each other's lives.
Right.
And every year, even though they move across the states and stuff, and all of them are in different areas of life, every month of May they come back together to play tag.
What was the quote that it started off with again? I know y'all kept telling me
We don't
that
stop
how-
playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
I mean, Ben Franklin said it best. Am I right? We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
I don't want to.
It's funny. It's a funny movie because you get to see like these grown-ups do things like their kids. Like these grown-ups, like you see, the movie starts off showing these grown-ups in their day-to-day life. Like you said, the movie starts off with a guy at a job in his firm or whatever, and he's in the middle of a business meeting that's super important. He's a very important man. He's dressed up in a suit and tie. He's in a big building that he apparently like runs and stuff. And then the second he meets up with his friends, he's acting like a 5-year-old again. He's like just running around, jumping on chairs, trying to tag his friends, tackling each other, you know, like dressing up as costumes to like hide from each other and all these like stupid shenanigans that, you know, you'd normally only see kids doing. But
And I love how like sacred it is to them, where to the point where they don't allow in their wives, they don't allow in their one bar friend who's like, hey, they made a deal where if I hide this information, I can finally join next year. And it's like, nah, dude,
No.
you're not getting it. This is our,
It's just
like,
this-
it's so sacred to them where it's like, one of the rules they've implemented is it stays between them no
the
matter
guys.
what. Like,
It's the
just,
guys.
that's their one thing. And
The
so,
boys.
just to kind of like relate that back to how y'all were kind of pitching it for me to rewatch since it was such a meaningful thing for your life, like how do you relate to the
Yeah.
overall theme for the movie?
Well, for me, I mean, we all have our own reasons for why. It's kind of coincidence that the movie like hit all of us. But for me personally, the reason when I saw the movie in 2018 when it came out, it hit me hard because I moved away from Seattle where you guys live. Most of like my friends, like the
Yeah, I mean,
core
that's where
of it.
you were born too.
Yeah, I was born there, and I spent most of my life, like from birth, knowing you guys and hanging out with you guys, and doing basically the same stuff. Like not tag specifically, but playing games, roughhousing, running around with you guys. Getting into trouble, and I moved in 2013.
How old were you at the time?
I was 11 years old, 11 or 12 years old, and I moved, and that was a really, really tough time because I had lost my core friends and like my whole environment that I grew up around. I didn't feel like I'd be the same person after that. I didn't think I'd have fun the same way. I didn't think I'd experience those moments of joy anymore. And everyone told me that I'd have to move on from my group of friends and that I'd have to make new friends and just forget about the ones that I had before. And then I watched this movie and I was like, hey, look at these guys. They're like 40 years old and they're across the states and they still come together playing tag every year. You're like, well, I can do it too. And then lo and behold, like 10 years later in 2022, I come back to Seattle and see you guys again, and it's like we meet up and it's like no time had passed. We were doing the same stupid stuff even though we had all matured. We were all like 20 when we met up again. And within, we were pretty like calm, chill people, and then the second we got together, it's just like the movie. The very next day we had Maz on top of a car. We were driving like 35
Never
miles
thought I would
down
be doing that.
down
Down
a hill. We were like going to downtown at like 2 a.m. just trying to get in, figure out what was going on down
you
there.
guys.
I mean, what's it called? We went we went go-karting. We were just doing a bunch of like stupid stuff together. We were just having fun, being kids again.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this movie just kind of reinforced that idea in my head that I can keep that same group of friends that I had when I was younger, and I can still be a kid with them.
And it's cool because it's like it's just the month of May,
Just
and
that
like you said, like you only get to see everyone for maybe
Once
a
a
week
year,
or two at a time. But like that one time you finally get to meet after like who knows how long it's been, it's as if you never left. You just kind of right back into the crazy mess and just having a good time, goofing off, making those memories. There's no awkward like, hey man, so like how's life been?
Yeah,
it's as if
right
you guys
away.
never left,
Right
The
away.
second we get
you connect right away. That's a great point being made. Sometimes when you haven't seen someone in so long, like for example, an old high school buddy or something like that, just having that little awkward convo. But with this, even though they haven't seen each other for so long,
it's the guys.
Just I know you. We do this every year. I know what the vibe is. You know what I'm saying?
For what you, Maz, how does this like? So Faz kind of talked about how it related to how he moved from such a close environment, growing up in Seattle, to such a foreign environment. How do you have to like adjust?
Right.
But like, how did this movie specifically relate to
so
you? So
for this movie, Fez recommended it to me too. He told me about it. Like saying like, hey man, you should watch this movie because I think it does a great job of showing how it represents us in a way too. You know? So the thing that really resonated for me watching this movie was that as they grew up, they still held on to their childhood traits. And I really appreciate that because, in a culture like ours, like Pakistani Desi culture, I'm sure you guys can relate to, and everyone else as well that might watch this video. A lot of the times, kids being brought up in a household, like in a Pakistani culture, is like they're told to, only care about like family, religion, and like when you grow up, you gotta focus on marriage or being financially stable and a good career or something like that. Gotta become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. And any type of leisure activity, whether it's fun or anything like that, that's a waste of time. Don't care about that. Care about what matters the most, which is like your career. You gotta be a man someday. That's something that dads tell their sons.
It's like the stereotype where it's like you could be working all day in your room and the 1 second you do anything besides work, like play a game or go on your phone, your parents want a game.
Always on that goddamn
One timing, Dad.
Yeah, dude. Like those leisure activities, like having fun, is also I would say just as important as them, like working and like finding a good career. You gotta have a good
100%.
balance between those two. It's really important for your mental health, your
Definitely.
well-being, and overall.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, a lot of our parents, you wouldn't really see them having fun or, you know, hanging
Yeah.
out with their buddies, stuff like that. They're like so
It's-
preoccupied with their work and stressed out about like other things going on.
It's a big issue within our community, like our specific culture. Like, they don't feel that having fun and just spending time with your friends is something that's worth like prioritizing.
Yeah.
Especially like outside of like a dawah setting.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of the most extent most
Yeah.
people go to.
exactly, and it's
But
something that's
this-
super important for your mental health. I mean, I can't.
Mhm.
How many times have one of us been going through something rough, and then the second we get in the car and we go get coffee and we go out and watch a movie or something and start joking around with each other, it instantly heals everything. You know, it's something that's really important for.
All right, and just to clarify, dawats, that means family events. Desi culture.
That's true. That's true.
For those that don't know what that means, but yeah, man, like those activities, having fun with your friends, your homies, you know, they're just as important as like working towards a better career, whether it be like for religion, you know, that's also important. But those leisure activities are just as important. You know, that's why the point I want to put across. That's something that really resonated with me the most.
I think to kind of go off that, like, one of the biggest like things or like aspects or mottos that I kind of reflected on while watching this movie is, especially halfway through, kind of hit me. It really like aligned with one of the biggest mottos that they say at A&M, the college I went to before.
Mm-hmm.
And like a big saying that they have that really like hits me deep and like resonates in different aspects of my life is that from the outside looking in, it's hard to like understand it, but from the inside looking out, it's really hard to like explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
That's
one
a
of
good
those,
quote.
one of those things where it's like,
Damn.
in terms of like a something that you find sacred in your life personally or within a friend group or within a family, sometimes it can be super outlandish, but like because it's such a norm and it's such a huge aspect of your life, like you just know everything about it, you know how it makes you feel, you know like everything to do with it, so it's hard to explain each and every detail and how you can kind of just make yourself better through that aspect, as opposed to like from the outside in the context of this movie. Like they're just playing tag. It's like, how do you
so
explain
hard
that to someone?
It's
Yeah.
so hard to sell people on this movie. Whenever somebody asks me what my favorite movie is and I say tag, they're like, "What's it about?" I'm like, "It's
A game of tag.
it's a bunch of people playing tag."
Right.
They're like, "I'm not watching that movie."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Yeah.
You just don't understand what it's like. But once you've seen it, and once you've like,
Once you feel it,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously, at the end of the day, it is a movie about a group of guys playing tag.
Yeah.
But like
Like, you just have
there's
to
a
live it.
giant overarching like theme where it's more about the bond that you've made with these people along the way,
And
like,
I
for
think-
years as a childhood friends, as opposed to like
I think for
The
our
game
group
itself.
specifically, it really resonated with us too. So I think that adds to it a lot. for
Yeah,
us.
like this movie specifically, the casual moviegoer may relate to it, you know, but they may not
Yeah.
relate to it as much as, you know, someone that like us, you know, like having that
It's a subjective
also
thing.
strong connection. You know, like your quote, you have. I feel like I can interpret like you have to live it to understand it.
100%.
You know.
And one of them says it like, dude, this game wasn't about us avoiding each other. The point of this game was to bring us all back together, even if it were for like a 1 month or a few days. Like we
Yeah.
can relate to that. You're able to come this time, but we have friends in Seattle who weren't able to come, who severely relate to this movie, like y'all told me.
Speaking of which, Ayan, for this movie hit him probably the hardest out of all of
Yeah,
us.
Our brother Ayan.
Yeah, our brother.
Our
Yeah,
brother
our
Ayan.
brother Ayan. He's gonna get mad if we say cousin or friend.
Hey, you a
Um,
cousin if you call him that.
What's it called? Yeah, with Ayan, I mean, I told him about the movie too, and it hit him respectively hard. I wish he was here so he could say this for himself, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's talked about this really openly, but he grew up in an environment where everyone around him was kind of telling you the same thing with our culture, where it's like, hey, everything everything that's not education and work is a waste of time.
Mhm.
Like there's like, you know, if you're trying to be on FaceTime with your friends, if you're trying to play video games with your friends, if you're trying to like hang out with them, that's a
Yeah.
complete waste of time.
Yeah, you're doing it too much.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're not getting anything out
Yeah.
of it.
So they constantly pressured him into this lifestyle and this mindset, and he grew up around other adults that were living that life and suffered from the consequences of it. Like we said before, that, you know, mental health is a pretty predominant issue in our culture because so many people don't know how to
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
And he saw
Not
that,
talked about enough.
and he was smart enough to realize that that was not the right way to go. And if you meet Ayan, he's 20 years old, but he acts like he's 5. He's like
Yeah.
one of the goofiest,
Mhm.
funniest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
And he's said very openly that the reason he's that way is because I like to think of that one rule where it's like for every force there's an equal and opposite like force.
Mm-hmm.
I think I butchered that, but like Ayan is that quote. Like for as much as they tried to pressure him to not be fun, he's like
He's gonna do it that much
he's
more.
literally the result of that, like
Mhm.
in the opposite way. And so when he saw this movie about a bunch of grown adults who are acting like kids, doing stupid stuff, playing tag, being able to not be serious, I think it hit him hard, so hard that it like he made his senior quote in high school, the quote from the movie.
Yeah, literally
which
the quote.
We
We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
Ayan's been going through a lot this year, so he wasn't able to come down for this trip. So we wanted to make this video talking about, his favorite movie and our favorite movie too, and kind of one of the biggest influences in our life and how what brought us together again, and kind of with the belief that we could like stay a group and still continue to have fun, continue to be kids together
Messing
and not lose
around.
that spirit. Because at the end of the day, the movie really reflects the life we're living right now. I mean, we've talked about it
Yeah.
already, but we grew up as kids, and now here we are. I mean, you went off to college. I moved from Seattle. Who would have thought that we'd be able to continue being kids together and having fun, and yet here we are. So,
Yeah. Like for us, I think what we can, for them it was like the game of tag, but for us it's like film, right? We're
One of the
all
things that brought us together.
interested in film. Like each trip that we have, we always have a project that we want to do.
How do you feel about making this film, Fez? How do you feel?
it's 4 a.m.
The reason I came
Yeah.
is I want to make that short film, right? So film for us is what is tag for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Dang, yeah, you're right.
You know what I
you're
mean?
right.
Like,
yeah, that's
the
a good
game
point.
of tag
For
is
us, it's
symbolic because it represents our passion for
Yeah,
film and
yeah.
creation
Yeah.
in that aspect.
Damn, that's a good way to look at it.
That's how I saw it too.
Wow.
I was thinking, I see a
like, who
great
knows?
connection.
Stay tuned. We'll have lots of different series coming up, but
Yeah.
Hey man,
to kind of tie
to
it
many
off.
more years.
Hell
To
yeah.
many more years.
Yes, sir.
Many more years to kind of tie it off. This movie is a great representation of just what it means to live life how you want it, and in whatever rules.
Live
that
with no
you-
regrets.
Exactly.
Live with
Life's
no
too short to
regrets.
live with regrets. So take those chances, make those memories,
Never lose the people that love you the most, that care about you the most, and
live in the moment.
stay true to yourself.
Stay tuned.